Welcome back to another episode of The Pursuit of Myself. I am Rain, your host, and I have been navigating a lot of self-doubt lately. It is so interesting having crept back into my world, and there's a few things that I attribute it to. It's what I tell my clients is if you really want to heal, move back in with your parents or get into a relationship. Because that mirror, the inner child in the mirror, is really what starts challenging you to know whether you are actually working through your triggers and working through your judgments and working through your wounding and programming. We can all go and be on our own in our own little insular world, even with me and my kids, and do our meditation and do our work. But if you really want to know if the work that you're doing is transforming and changing in your life, you've got to get out there and practice. You actually have to take action. It's not about sitting in the safety all the time. If you want to grow from that safety place, then you must be putting yourself in situations that are going to trigger you, that might have you look at things a different way, which might bring on old wounds, because the process of working through them is the hard thing. And I've noticed a lot of stuff coming back up in my world. I've had Dad come and move in with us for a little while, which is so exciting. And so exciting for the kids just to be able to experience life with him in our world for a little while. But yes, it does come with some inner child wounds. It does come with me living on my own with the kids for so long, doing it my way, that, it's not like just having someone else move in and you're sort of navigating. This is like your dad. These are belief systems. These are conditionings. These are wounds that have come up, or ways of thinking, I should say, that have come up for me my whole life. The first people that you learn about money stories are your parents. The first people that you learn about entrepreneurship, learn about whether you need to get a 9-to-5 job, what you do with your money, whether you buy a house, whether you go to uni. All these things that we first learn, how to belong, how to be safe, are from our parents. So when this is why parents can be so triggering, is even when you just go over there for dinner, it's like, oh God, my parents. Is because when you get in that vicinity, all these old things come up. And the thing that I've been working on really, really deeply with myself is every time I have little triggers about something that he says or something that he does, I get to work through that. I get to look myself in the mirror and go, why is that triggering me? What is this? What am I making this moment mean about myself? Am I making it mean that I am not doing a good enough job with the kids? Am I making it mean that I'm not doing the right thing with my money? Am I making it mean that entrepreneurship is risky? What am I making it mean? Where's this trigger coming from? And this is my process, and I'll probably take you through, I hope he doesn't listen to my podcast. I'll probably take you through a little bit deeper in the coming, weeks about my process and working through this. But it is really, really freeing. When you are in a place where you do the work, you know how to settle your nervous system. You know how to look at your triggers. You know how to hold yourself with compassion. That is where you get to work through the real work. So that has been my experience over the last couple of weeks, and something that I'm really relishing in and welcoming in for my new level of growth and my new level of business that I'm calling in, my new level of clients that I'm calling in, because every situation that we are faced with is a gift. It is a gift there to continue you on your path to where you are desiring to go. So that is my gift. That is my situation at the moment. So actually, you know what? Let's get into this episode. I am so excited to introduce you to the most incredible woman who inspires me every single day, and I know you'll get a lot out of it. So let's just get started. Welcome to the Pursuit of Myself, the podcast. Here we take ownership of our healing. We rewrite the rules, we turn knowledge into wisdom, and we lead our lives with intention. I'm your host, Rain, and it's my mission to empower you to get back into the driver's seat of your life. So today's conversation is going to hit home, I know, for so many of you, especially if you've ever felt like you've been pulled in two directions. If you are quite afraid of your vulnerability, if you are so used to being a high achiever, working towards your goals, setting yourself up in a way that you can control the outcome in your business. So on one side, you've got your heart, and that is craving freedom. It's craving travel. It's craving ease and joy, the life that you started your business for. And on the other side, your head, it's telling you all the shoulds. You should be working harder. You shouldn't be having that time off. You should be keeping up. You should be building the way that everyone else is building around you. And this is the exact battle that this beautiful guest, branding powerhouse, Cass Emmersyn, finds herself in. So Cass is the genius behind the brand of Myself. Thank you, Cass. She is incredible. She has built an incredible business, and you just have to have a look at her Instagram and have a look at her clients to see the work that she does is so beautiful. She is trusted by founders and entrepreneurs to bring their vision to life. And on the outside, it looks like she's thriving in her business, which she absolutely is. But behind the scenes on the inside, there's something that Cass is navigating. And it's that constant tug of war between her intuition and her analytical mind. So it's between that ambitious drive to build and the deep desire for freedom and lifestyle. So in this episode, we unpack what that battle really feels like, why indecision so often shows up as procrastination, and how to start building a business that doesn't cost you the very freedom that you're craving. So if you ever judged yourself for wanting more ease, if you've ever felt like the odd one out for doing things a little bit differently, or if you've ever been stuck in the shoulds instead of what you actually really desire, then this episode is for you. It may even feel like you're looking in the mirror, but I would really be excited if you join me in welcoming the beautiful Cass Emmersyn. I'm so excited to have this chat with you, Cass. Welcome to the Pursuit of Myself.
Thank you. So good to be here.
Gosh, you are just an incredible powerhouse of what you do, which makes me even more excited to have this chat, because online you have you've built this most incredible business. And for anyone listening, Cass did my branding for the Myself School and the Myself Method, and she's actually in her zone of genius. So we're going to unpack a couple of things. And if there was one thing that you think is holding you back from Actually, I'm going to reframe that, because on Instagram and the way that you show up for your clients and the incredible work that you do, it looks like you are thriving, you're building, you're in your zone of genius, you're trusting your intuition, you are living your dream life. If there is one thing that I could ask you that's maybe stopping or blocking that, according to you, what would that be?
It's trying to find this balancing the two sides of me of what I want. I'm very clear on what I want, but they're quite conflicting. On one side is I'm so about freedom, and I'm so conscious that time is the one thing that we can't replace. So how do I spend my time? But on the other side, I'm building this incredible thing where I want to just have so much impact for founders and entrepreneurs to really understand brand and harness the power of it. But that takes a lot of time to build all of the things to make it accessible. And so they are constantly in conflict for me. And that's kind of where that chat, side segue with us came in last week, because I'm like, I do get there to some degree, but I go through this head-heart struggle constantly. And I think it's trying to find a way to build that aligns authentically with both sides of me, which in some ways conflict and compete.
So it is that when you say two sides, we can look at it two ways. We can look at like left side and right side, which is like the whole, or we can dissect it a little bit more, which means like the battle between, as we said, the head and the heart. Yeah. So it's like when you're in your heart or when you're head, which one's right? And I think, the battle is not about both sides of you being right. The battle is about what side of you and where did it come from that doesn't give you that permission to say that my heart is where I must lead from, my authenticity, my alignment at all costs. Like there is that little bit of fear between, if I trust my heart implicitly, where the hell will this end up? Does that
so
kind
I guess
of sound?
we need Yeah, it does.
And I guess my question to you then is, as you've been building this business, what was modeled to you as you were growing up? Like, do you remember looking at people in business and thinking like, that's what I want to be doing, or this is how I want to be living my life, or with your parents, how they modeled business to you? What was your background?
No, I never really had anything that I modeled off. I've come through the whole corporate grounding. It took me a long time to get into corporate. So I've done a double major, the double degrees at university. And it was like buying a credit card I was like trying to get a credit card when you haven't had credit before. So it took me quite a while to get into corporate, and I had a strong retail background up until probably around the age of 25, 26. when I made the jump into like ANZ Bank, and then, my corporate career started from there. But I read a book when I was really, really young, and it was probably that told me what I wanted, it was about this girl. It was, she'd built this empire, this shoe empire, this business. And from a young age, I think it would have been about 12 when I read this book, I knew that was what I wanted. Just something inside of me was just like, that is right for me. And even I remember like from kindy, I don't remember a lot about childhood or anything like that, but I do remember in kindergarten, I would be the boss of the shop. So I was always like in the lead. But as far as that went, I guess I always just really craved that independence and to do what I do really well.
So when it comes to the head and the heart, though, what is the difference? What does it kind of feel like when you're following your heart, when you're like in your zone and your intuition? What does that feel like to you?
Yeah, definitely. I think that I've been going through so much of like trying to unpack this over the last 3 months of trying to really understand what it is that I'm about, and I guess trying to find a way of running business that aligns authentically with me. And something that I noticed recently is I'll have these intuitive kind of these drop-ins, like this is what I want to do. So something tells me this is what you should do. So for example, when I was in Bali recently, part of me was like, I want to go up to Lavina because I hadn't been up that way before. And I always like to explore a new part of Bali, which is, I guess, that filling up my cup side of me. But then the other part of me instantly comes in, which is, I think, the head side. And it's like, well, no, you're already in paradise. You're there to work. You're just escaping Perth winter. And it was all these reasons why I shouldn't do it. But then the other part of me, so then I sit in this constant battle around, well, which one? And I'm debating it. And I spend so much time and energy basically trying to quieten my head so that I can listen to my heart, because that's generally what I end up doing anyway, because that's what I really want to do. But I spend so long debating it from a head perspective and a logic perspective of about why I shouldn't and why I should do the other side of things, which is often more the work side and that logic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think the one thing that I know is when we battle with what we should and shouldn't do, and like the analytical mind, and do I go left, do I go right? It's almost like a way that the nervous system puts you in a procrastination and indecision to even avoid me making a decision, because the root cause of everything that we do is, if I make that decision and it's wrong, what if I make that decision and I don't get my work done? What if I make the wrong decision and I end up, X, Y, and Z? So the actual procrastination and the battle with the mind is, we can see it happening on the day and you can meditate and you can get out of it, try and get into your heart. But until you can really understand that on a deeper level, the procrastination is giving you the gift of what, which could be, what do you get out of procrastination and indecision, would you say?
You're probably avoidant of making a wrong decision. Exactly what you said, I think, because it's just like, well, what if I go, because for that example where I said to go up to Lavina, it meant, a financial investment to go up there. It meant time, because it was going to take me like, say, 3 hours. And as you know, in Bali, like, it's not like you can really work while you're driving. So you lose that time. Plus then you have to come back all the way down, and I had to go to the bottom of Bali after that. And it's just like, I'm calculating how much time and what I could be getting done in that time. But then the other part of me is just like, but what is it all for if you're not doing what you love? And if you're not doing the things that make you happy, what's the point? And yes, you lose the 3 hours and you spend a bit of money to go up there, but then you get to have experience that you wouldn't get if you stayed where you are. And that's the thing that actually does light me up the most, is getting to have the experience, getting to see something different, getting to enjoy the sunset, exploring something new. There's something about that really lights me up.
And what happens when you are being lit up? Do you feel like your business stops? Have you got evidence that clients will still come?
No. Yes, it does. Like, things just still happen. But yeah, maybe, I don't know, is it a fear response? Is it maybe like aligning myself with what would the big entrepreneurs would be doing. There's so many that, we see and that we look up to, and they just work all the time and they're constantly building and growing. And I have something that I really want to grow and build, but I also don't want to sacrifice the life that I want to live. And to a degree, I have spent the last 2.5, 3 years really, really focused on my business. That's all I do. That's all I spend my time on. I think about it. I learn, I read, I connect, I network. I'm always doing something either for my business, like if it's, fixing the business, if it's growing the business or growing someone else's business or their brand. And it hasn't really stopped. But then I guess that part of me inside of me lately has been coming up and saying, but why? But what is it all for? If you're doing all of this and you're not doing the thing that you really want to love, the thing that you really love, then you're not really making yourself happy and you're not being true to what you really want.
What is your why, Cass? Why are you building this business?
Yeah. My why, because I love freedom. So that's my really big why, is freedom. And that makes me emotional, that question.
Yeah.
I've always been in roles where I've been boxed in or had limitations put on me. So in some ways it's it's the only solution to that, work for someone else or work for yourself. But the thing is I probably make it so much more complicated than it needs to be because I'm ambitious as well. I'm really ambitious, and part of me wants to be really ambitious, but the other part just wants to enjoy life. So I have this conflict about doing it for freedom. So my why has always been freedom, and it's creative freedom. So no one can ever tell me how or what to do or limit my ideas because I have a lot of ideas, and I have, very clear visions about what I can create. It was about time freedom, about how I spend my time and when I work, because I never liked being cooped up in an office. It's not fruitful for me to create. I need space and expansion. A lot of my ideas come if I'm driving or showering or walking on the beach, or all of the times when you're not meant to be working. It was location freedom because I wanted to be able to work from anywhere. I don't need to be stuck in an office to work. And it was financial freedom, so that no matter if I put in more time, I can earn more money, or I can work out what I'm worth rather than someone else. So that was my why, and I was very clear about that when I started. And the other part is also to make brand strategy accessible to all business owners, because there's this thing that they don't know exists, that when they harness all of the strategy, it is beyond powerful for them. And what that means for them is that they don't have to work as hard in their business because their brand can start to work for them. And that then aligns back to my why of being able to choose how to spend your time so that you have the freedom to be able to make memories, which is what life is all about. So that's kind of the full circle of it all.
So would you say then, at the moment, with the amount of hours that you're working, the amount of energy and effort and hustle you're putting into your business, would you say that that's about at capacity at the moment, like where you would ideally want it to be?
Yeah, like in some ways, I don't have to work, say, that hard, like from a client interfacing perspective. But I kind of never switch off either. Like I've really struggled with having those boundaries in place, or to work out, or just even how to stop. Like on Saturday this weekend, I actually, for the first time, took time off. And after we had a gala on Thursday night and Friday, I was kind of like, I think I did a few things. And then I was like, that's it. I'm done. I just need to have a break. And on Saturday, it was the first day that I had time to do things around my house, or to do all the little chores that never get done, and just to roam around and to not, I don't think I was actually really, for the most part, I mean, I still was a little bit, thinking about brand or business a lot. Of course, there's always ideas because I analyze constantly, but there was more white space than there'd ever been for a while. And that just felt so like recharging. It was really, really recharging. So while my capacity wise, yes, I guess so, because I don't think I can work much more than what I do. I mean, it's
interesting you say that, because what I'm thinking also is that when you say you want to bring the brand way out and this beautiful launch and you have these ideas, but your nervous system's like, but we're at capacity. Like I can't, I feel like this is my sweet spot. And then the nervous system's like, but Cass, you want to do more. You want to build.
Yeah.
Like you want to earn more money. You want to have more clients. You want to touch more people. It's almost like it's not the battle between the head and the heart. It really is the battle between your nervous system and your ego saying like, oh, no, we're at capacity. I'm scared of if we do this, what is this going to look like for my freedom? What's this going to look like for my emotional freedom? What's this going to look like for my time freedom? And it's almost like you're standing on the edge of that cliff again, in your new layer, going, okay, your nervous system, this feels a bit scary. Like, I
Mm.
don't actually know what bringing this into the world, how much extra time I have in the moment to build it to where I want to build it.
Oh, and that's been a massive thing that's going on in the back of my head, is trying to work out how to build something to deliver on my why that also delivers on my other why.
Yeah.
You know, how do I build something that a lot a lot of the brilliance comes in when the founders get to work with me one-on-one, you know, because I get to really just dive into them and I pull everything out and I ideate for them, and I can see where it needs to go, that one-on-one essence. And I've been trying to work out how I take a lot of the ideas and strategies and distill it down into an IP and a framework. But to build this thing that I want to build, there's a lot to do. And it's not only just the actual program or something that you're building, but then it's how you build it. But there's everything that needs to go with it in order to market it, to sell it, to spruik it, all of that, to show up and be in the world, to convince people that this is the thing that you need against everything else there is out there in the world that they can spend their money on as founders. And it's a lot, and it's scary. It's scary for me going, like, I want to do this for them, but what does that do for me? Like, what impact does that have on me?
Absolutely. And this is the scare, like, not this, you're not physically scared, but your nervous system is like, oh, Cass, I don't know about this. You say you want to travel, you say you want the freedom, but this doesn't feel like it's going to give us that. Even though your why is so strong and the creative ideas are so strong, you know, we know that the subconscious and nervous system is going to trump everything over time. And that's what shows up as indecision, procrastination, right? Maybe a certain lack of motivation in that area that you're trying to build. And, you know, I think in this work, we don't want to sit here and just like mindset, like write the affirmation, Cass, like I want the freedom, and write your why. You know, I really feel like to work with the body and work with how you're feeling and trusting that, that's the connection that you need. Because I know when I said to you before, like, what does it feel like for you when you're in your heart and your intuition? Like, what does that actually feel like?
It feels easy because there's no resistance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I also feel quite happy because I'm not battling anything anymore. And there's the joy because I'd be getting what I actually want.
And then what does it feel like when you go into that analytical head and you're thinking, is this in alignment? I don't know which decision to make. What does that feel like in your body?
It's a battlefield. It feels like war because then I'm constantly trying to, you know, one of my things is that I will analyze things from 50 million, you know, perspectives, you know, I'll like walk all around it and pick it apart and build it down and build it back up again. And I spend a lot of time doing that. But then there's probably quite an element of resentfulness within that. Like I feel resentful because then I'm just like, oh, this is what I wanted to do. And that came through so quick and easy. And then all of a sudden now I've had this other thing come in and I'm having to battle and go, well, which one's right and which one's wrong and which one am I actually going to do? And sometimes it's that logical thing of, well, sometimes you have to do the hard thing or you have to do the thing that you don't want to do. So there's also that whole decision framework that comes into play. Are you being lazy? Are you trying to avoid doing the hard work? You know, to build a business, it's not easy. No one ever said that it was. Are you just trying to find a way to do something that is impossible? You know, it's then also judgment comes into play. You're lazy, or why don't you want to do this? Other people do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I don't want to work hard or I don't work hard, because I do, and I absolutely love it and I love what I do. But I also just like that time to be able to recharge and reconnect and just to be able to breathe and to enjoy life and to travel and to do the things that I love.
Do you judge yourself for that?
Yeah, definitely, because I see so many other people around me that, you know, I mean, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors for them. And this podcast would probably be quite eye-opening to other people to hear what goes on in my mind, you know. But I think it's important to be honest about it, that we want what we want. And for me, I'm 46. I'm not in my 30s. So I do want to enjoy life, but I also want to, you know, absolutely love what I do, and nothing lights me up more than when I build these brands and I see the founders, they tell me all the amazing things when they're getting more sales and leads coming in and they're getting this omnipresence and people come to them ready to buy. Like, that lights me up so much as well. I'm trying to find this way to have my cake and to eat it too, I suppose.
Would the Cass of 12 months ago, let's say, how would she be viewing the Cass of today with the expansion and the business and the growth? Would she be proud of her?
Oh, 100%. What's happened in 12 months is amazing.
How often do
It's
you
a
tap
lot.
into that?
I don't. I don't.
That's
Mm.
going to be your first bit of homework. But I would love, because I think what happens when we are so ambitious, like you are, and building and growing, and we're around, like I know the people that you surround yourself with as well, and they're incredible entrepreneurial growth, business, people. And we don't even need to go into what the comparison trap is. But when you surround yourself and we get swept up in constantly wanting and building, we do forget that, like, hang on, that Cass of 12 months ago would be so proud of what you've achieved. Probably even 6 months ago, would be so
Mm.
proud of you and what you've achieved. Would that be true?
Yeah, definitely. I just recently wrote an article about a Monday email about the one thing I did from the very beginning of my business is that you just keep taking one step after another, after another, after another. And at some point you look back and you go, oh, wow, like, look how far I've come. But I
Mm.
guess because I am really ambitious and I'm competitive and I'm really driven, as much as I love that other side, to indulge the other side of me, I'm always looking at what's next rather than of necessarily where I've come from. I'm like, okay, but this is because I've got a very clear plan of what I wanted to build. And I gave myself a 5-year plan and I'm halfway through and I'm so on track. I'm exactly where I need to be. But I'm also, I guess now maybe feeling a little bit weary in that, I've been going so hard all of this time
Mm.
that I'm like, well, the other part is just probably just saying, hey, what about me? What about me? And I think a lot of this really came from the wanting to go to Europe. Europe is my thing that I do every year. And I didn't get to go last year. I went the year before and I organized a Greek sale with all my girlfriends and it was amazing. It's where I feel so free and so alive over there. And I didn't go last year because, well, I went to like Mexico and Cook Islands and then I had business retreats and things like that. And this year has been the same. So I've been to Bali, or I've been to Thailand, I've been to Bali probably a couple of times. I went to Byron Bay. I'm about to go to Queensland tonight. And that meant because of this retreat, I couldn't go to Europe when I normally would. And I've been for the last few months or more, especially through winter, really going like, but I really want to go. But then it's like, but you're too busy, or you've got to do these things, or, you've got to build this next thing in your business. And there's been this constant barrage of battlement that I've been going through because the other side's, but this is why you started. So that you can do the one thing that you really love.
It's interesting because even when I hear you say you're competitive and ambitious and obviously you've set goals and you're achieving them and you're getting through them, where does the fear come in then if you were to take your foot off the pedal? Let's say that's what it feels like. If you were to say, you know what, I'm going to have 2 weeks off, what's the fear behind that? What does that mean?
I don't know if is there a fear? Or is there maybe that it slows me down? Maybe there's a slowdown thing that it will put me behind on my goals. Like I've set a date to launch the brand way. And so for me, I was like, I can't go away because I need to build this thing. And there's so much involved to build this thing. And that's amazing because that absolutely ticks one of the biggest boxes of why I started my business is to make it accessible to all business owners. But that means I sacrifice the thing that I absolutely love.
What would it mean if you could have both? If success doesn't actually mean it costs you freedom at this stage? Like, how would that feel in your body? And we only do the feeling part because, as we said, when we're working with the fear and the blocks and the mind chatter, we must go into the nervous system. Like, how would it feel in your body if freedom actually was success for you? If getting to that point of freedom and travel, that was the goal, that was the success button. And everything else that you're doing is the roadmap, is the bridge as to get to that freedom. It's not so much the business, but it's that freedom.
Yeah, that's a total flip of the script, isn't it? Yeah. It's a very different orientation from how I've been coming at it. The business has been the benchmark because, I mean, let's be honest, Rain, I have a lot of freedom. I have done a lot of travel. It's amazing. So, in everything that we're talking about, so many other people would be killing to be in the position that I'm in and to have had the freedom and all of that I've created. But this is, I guess it's my story, isn't it? It's about what I want and what means a lot to me. I think we both know that I'm really bad with the feeling stuff of what it feels like in the body. I'm very much in the head kind of person. So that's probably one of my weakest things, is not really knowing the feelings. So that probably makes it quite hard then when the head comes in, because that's so strong for me in the battle. It's the one that has all the swords and all the armory. And then there's this smaller part over here that feels that little intuition that gets ignored and blocked a lot.
Yeah. Actually, you said something to me when we were voice noting before, and you used the analogy of, I can feel like the odd one out, like the way that I'm growing my business, the way that I should be growing my business. But I feel like it aligns with me, and I feel like it's, the freedom that I want, but I still feel like the odd one out. What do you really mean by that?
Well, I remember when I first started my business and I signed up with my business coach, Steph Gordon, and I said to her from the very beginning, I want to do this business, but this is how I want to do it. I want to be able to build, but I want to be free. I want to travel, and I want to go to Europe this year. I started in February, like I left corporate 31st of Jan, started my business on the 1st of Feb. I was planning to go to Europe in July, or June, July. And that's crazy. That's only a few months in. But I was always really clear that I wanted to build business my way and do it my way. And in hearing you reflect that back to me, I think maybe sometimes I just forget that, like I know it, but like maybe I don't know it loud enough that I will do things my way and I don't need to follow the norm. And I've never really been the follower. I've always kind of been a bit of the black sheep. I've always done things the way I want to do it and just kind of trusted me, I suppose. But there's this other part where the head comes in. Maybe it's in the smaller battles, maybe in the overarching part, like my ultimate me drives the ship, but there's probably battles on board maybe that take place in while the ship is sailing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If I asked you, when would you recall would be the first time that you identified as sort of the odd one out? Would that be a story that's been something that's playing in your life for longer than business?
Is this meant to be a crying podcast?
All of you is welcome here, Cass.
Oh my God, this is a lot. Oh, I think I always have been, because that probably happened a lot in school. I was a very high achiever. I modeled. I was the state swimmer. I did a lot of things. So I was quite, I trained, multiple times a week and won everything. So I was always winning. I've always been a bit of a winner. But, I was ostracized at school a lot, all the time, because, just not accepted. So maybe I rebelled a little bit and made it part of my persona. I don't know, because I was pushed out. And it's like, oh well, I'm out anyway. I may as well just do things my way.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I work harder than everyone else. I'll faster than everyone else. I'll build it faster than everyone else. I'm going to do it my way. And also, when we bring on a persona like that, that's something that's stuck with us since, let's say, high school, is this odd one out. Funnily enough, the nervous system feels safe and actually feels safer feeling like the odd one out, like I'm doing it sort of my way. And that's where it wants to sit. It wants to sit and remind you that this is all odd. This is not the normal way, Cass. This is not how you should be building your business. This is not what everyone else is doing, which then becomes the battle of, okay, well, if I'm not doing it, if I'm doing it my way, which is intuitively, but it still wants to be the odd one out. It still wants to jump in. And that's what wants to take the lead. And so that battle between head and the heart continues. So I feel like, doing a little bit of, like, interestingly, let me ask you this question. What do you get out of being the odd one out?
That's a good question. I probably have a sense of pride. There's probably a sense of pride in there for me that I still win no matter what. Like I will still find a way through, and almost I can, it's a good question. What do I get out of it? I mean, in this business sense now, it's that doing it my way, I just get to have what I want. I get to do amazing work and be super passionate and invested in what I do, but I also get to live the life that I want and make the memories that I want.
And I think in some way it's giving you drive, or your nervous system feels like it's giving you the drive. I'm the odd one out, so I'm going to drive this to do it faster, to it better, to do it my way. And so, and with every wound, there's the shadow side and there's the light side, and it's given you a lot of positive aspects too. But what's really interesting is when I hear you speak about, business and the odd one out, like I would also like well, I would challenge you on this. In the circles that you run in business, is the way that you're building and running your business as an entrepreneur and the freedom that you crave and are creating, is that really odd? Or is that probably more the normal with the people that you're rubbing
I
shoulders with?
think it's becoming more and more the norm that people are now really starting to want to build freedom-based businesses.
Which is not sort of putting you in that category of I'm doing this differently, I'm building this differently.
Mm,
Yes, you're doing it your way, but I would actually like to start not arguing with you, but to bring to the table that what you're doing in the way and the areas that you're doing it is actually quite normal.
yeah.
But the nervous system will still want to lead into the odd one out because it keeps you in that battle of the right and wrong decisions, head and the heart, intuitive. Do I
Mm,
really want this freedom? Or do I go back to the corporate way where it's 9 to 5, you work for money? I mean, we all know the entrepreneurial mindset is very, very different to a 9 to 5 job. So even by stepping out of the corporate, there's that I'm that odd one out. I'm stepping away. I'm building this. So it'd be
mm,
interesting to really start reframing some of these old beliefs, I would say, or reframing some of the ways, because I really feel, without going too much into the depth of your childhood and your teenage years, but when you articulate things like the odd one out and I'm competitive and I'm ambitious, they're all words that we can really work with that have either led you from that wounded place, like I've got to prove myself, I've got to work harder than everyone, but then we can also reframe them to the beautiful gifts that it has given you.
mm.
Would you say there's anything, with the odd one out, and I don't know why we need to keep going back here, but my spirit, my brain, everyone's like the odd one out, right? What gift has being the odd one out given you?
Well, I don't ever try to conform. So and in not trying to conform, there's a level of freedom within that, right? You're not trying to be like, and I've never tried to be like everyone else. So there's something beautiful within that. I
Being
mean,
like, what else be like for you? What does that mean?
I don't think I want to be like everyone else. It's taken me a long time to probably accept who I am because I was ostracized a lot in school and, segregated away and, it was quite difficult. It's taken me a long time to actually accept that who and what I am is okay and it's good. And what I bring to the table, whoever wants to be a part of that gets to have something really cool. Because for a long time, high school and girls are mean and boys are mean. There was a lot of rejection. And so now anyone that gets to come into my world, they see that I love fiercely, like if you get to be in my world, you're 100%. I almost like have this cloak that I bring the people in that I really love and that I look after and nurture. So I don't know if that's really answered the question per se. It's probably a hard question to answer, to be honest. Look at all these tears.
So beautiful, Cass, honestly. I'm just so grateful you're here. So when you have this beautiful cloak that you adorn on everyone,
Mm.
what does that mean to you? What is that gift for you?
Oh, I think I'm definitely a strong protector type person. And maybe that's because of what I've been through. If I can take away someone's pain, then I would.
And if there was one pain that I could jump in and cloak you with and take away from you, does anything come to mind?
No, not really. Yeah.
So let's recap, or let's just go and back to the business and the head and the heart and following your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if we had a lot more time, we could start unpacking a few words and what they mean to going. But you've got your why, and you know what you're building. So the disconnect is, I feel, more in your time and freedom. It's like your
Yeah.
whole ego is saying, right, if we're doing this, if we're going to be successful, we need to push harder. We need to work harder. We need to put more time in and don't even going traveling.
Yeah.
And your intuition is like, well, but I really want to do that. And I really want to go traveling. This is why I'm building it. Even though we've got this deadline, even though we've got these goals and this why, there's that conflict.
Yeah.
So what I would love you to do is start thinking about evidence-based practices, like having a journal. Where's the evidence for when you take your quote unquote foot off the pedal and you are traveling and you are meeting people and you are having, a day off when you're in Bali or when you're in Europe, what actually happens to your business?
Yeah, so there's no evidence that my business is affected from it. I think it's just probably more around a benchmark for me of going, I should be building. There's things to do. And by not doing them, then I guess I'm probably self-judging in a way that, well, you're here to build a business. You need to do these things. You need to like make sure, your marketing's happening, lead gen's coming in, that you're building the next thing, because I have a plan of what I wanted to create to achieve my why. And I think that there's an element of, if I take the time off, then I'm not working towards those things, and that I should be.
Yeah. And a lot of the times we use the shoulds as the driver, because it's hard to motivate ourselves without the should, without the goal. Like if you're competitive and you're ambitious, you put the goal there and you know that goal is going to drive you, right? That is what's going to get up.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about evidence, it's our brain, reticular activating system, will look for all the evidence that that's what you need to be doing. So what we do want to do, as I was saying, journaling and switching it up, is looking for all the evidence that that's actually not true. Looking for all the evidence about how you are still building, how you are still getting clients and everyone's happy while you are having that few days off. And it will completely skip over that. So this is what we want to do. We want to become, first of all, self-aware of the patterns, which is the fact that you feel like you should be working towards your goal. And the patterns is you are a competitive, ambitious person. And the self-awareness of this doesn't, like the procrastination in my mind, which is what you're doing, feeling like, and I feel like attaching to that idea of being the odd one out is also something that drives you, because you can prove yourself to people. You can be successful. You can win. You can be incredible at what you set your mind to, right? And what we need to start doing is switching the evidence base for the brain to say, but when I do, quote unquote, take my foot off the pedal for a few days, things are still rolling. Things are still building. I'm still working towards my goal. Like everything is not falling over behind me. And I know you said, no, it doesn't actually do that. I've got that. But brain won't focus on that. It will focus on the programming and it'll freak out. It'll be like, but what are you doing, Cass? This is what we're supposed to be doing. We're in hustle time. We've got 5 years, right? We've only got 5 years to get to where you want to go. And what if, let me say, the other thing that I'll say is, what if that 5 years could be bigger and better than your actual goal of what you've set? Like, what if it could be better?
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And what if I said to you that keeping it under your control, keeping it in the way that you feel like you have to work, could actually be blocking this from being bigger and better than what you could imagine it being right now?
Yeah, I love that reframe. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm sitting here analyzing and I'm just thinking, where does all of these rules come in? How much of it is me comparing and benchmarking to other people? And how much of it is my own expectations and the goals that I've set and what I'm doing and just operating. I guess I've always probably operated quite well with a set of rules or instructions. So I always probably create them. They're probably a safety net maybe for me, or to have a process, because I'm very much like, this is where I want to get to. And I will work backwards on how to get there. I've always done that all my life. And it's an incredible skill set. I use it when I build brands. I use it all through my corporate career to execute projects. In my own life, if I want to do something, I will analyze it all and then I'll go, this is what I want. And then I'll step it back bit by bit all the time to go, this is how I'm going to get there, to make sure that I get to where I want to go. But yeah, it's probably something I'll mull over for the next few days while I'm flying and stuff, but just go, where's that story come from? Or what is that story? And if I think there's an element of a benchmark against going, am I working hard enough? So I'm looking at other people, and then if I'm not, and I don't think that I do, to be honest, like some people think, you work really hard, but then I look at other people and I go, I don't think I work that hard at all either. I see how fast they can churn things out and et cetera, et cetera. So there's an element of comparing myself to other people of what I should be doing. There is definitely an ego part that I have around what success would look like, or in being successful. And I don't think I've necessarily always taken that frame but to have the freedom that I have is success. To be able to, the life that I've lived the last 2.5 years, and the amount that I've traveled is incredibly successful while getting paid for it as well. But it's always like, but what's the next goal? And what's the next goal? And how far are you along in your 5-year plan? Because, to me, to meet that 5-year plan would be everything to go, I did it. But that's just me against me. So
it is. It's just you against you. And I know from all this evidence-based work as well, that when we are able to trust ourselves to relinquish that control, and I think even though you've said over and over again, it is a gift. The way that you've worked is the gift. That's the light side. The shadow side is you feel like you need to have that control to be successful. You feel like you need to be working that way or things are going to fall apart, right?
Yeah.
Which is one, great, the light, and two, the dark. It's keeping you in that procrastination when you're being asked from your business, or you're asking of your business to grow to that next level.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you feel safe relinquishing a little bit of that control and still know that you're working towards your goals and still know that you're working towards that freedom that you're already experiencing? That's the irony, isn't it? You're working towards freedom that you've just said you're already experiencing right now.
I am. Yeah.
So what would more freedom right now look and feel like to you?
Well, you asked me a question at the beginning of the podcast. Did I do the thing? Did I book flights to Europe? And I did over the weekend. And that makes me so incredibly happy that I get to go. So in the next 2 weeks, I am away on the Gold Coast for 8 days. I come back, I go up to Sandy Cape and with my brothers and catch up with my brothers being traveling Australia. And a week later, I come back and I fly to Europe for 3 weeks. And the plan is to actually be off when I'm away. So there's no client work booked in. If I want to work on my business and build, then that's great. But I don't have to if I don't want to.
I love that.
Makes me so happy just to go, just do the thing, have that as a reset. I think to have not done it, it would just keep playing on my mind so much, and almost like I've failed if I don't go to Europe as well, even if I stayed here and build the next thing. But I have decided to go and just to roam and to be free, and I'm sure business it won't fall apart. Clients will wait. I mean, last week, clients are just like, oh, well, I'll book you when you get back. It's not even a big deal. I built a brand that people are happy to wait for to work with me. Like, how incredible is that?
This is amazing. And this is the feeling that you're feeling right now, the light up in your face and the way that you're looking up to verse, whatever it is, and just being like, oh my God, I did it. So this is the feeling. And I know you say you're not really great at feeling into your body, but this is the practices. This is the feeling. Every time you get to that indecision, every time you get to that head versus heart, every time you feel like you're procrastinating, you're stuck, I literally want you to stop and take a deep breath and go like, how did it feel when I stepped into my actual freedom of success? How did that feel in my body? And that's what I want you to cultivate more and more and more of, because your work ethic, your control, your creativity, your ambitious, your competitiveness has gotten you to where you want to go. Right? Yeah. I feel like for you that this next level is going to be you learning how to work with your nervous system and your body to feel safe enough to know that this expansion is going to only bring you more freedom and only bring you more success in the form of freedom. Can you start some practicing that way? I'll give you some after here. It's a bit of, we can sit here and I know that you do beautiful sound healing and, you go on these great little retreats and you do the reset, but the practice of doing something, a little bit of something every single day will really start easing that disconnect. Because when we feel like disconnect, it's like heart, head, and it's almost like we feel like like something has chopped us off and we're battling from one to the other. Whereas what the meditation or a little 5-minute practice can do is it's just like connecting the two, like connecting, as you said in the beginning, the two different sides of you. It's connecting those two. So you make that decision or you make that move, I don't even like the word decision, from this place rather from the head place, and trusting that the heart, booking the Europe trip, that feeling that, when you're with your clients, and I've worked with you and I will say this as well, right? Your intuition, your creativity, the way you work with your clients and their brands all comes from your heart. Every bit of it. You just light up. right? So when you're working with other people, you are so available to yourself.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that we get to cultivate. Would that be true for you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I know I love what I do. Maybe there's a fear in there somewhere that what if I don't want to work at all? We probably none of us do, right? So maybe
Yeah.
that's just being honest. Like, if I'm being really, but I also do, I absolutely love building. It lights me up when I have a new idea or I have something for a brand or the process of building is really cool. But I guess for me now, my real focus is just how do I prioritize both? Because I don't think there's such a thing as balance, because if to imply balance, it means if there's a subtle shift in one direction, then it's off and then you're out of balance. So I think it's just more about giving some love to both sides of what I do, going as much as I give a lot of love and time to my business and what I'm doing, just make sure I'm honoring the same when it comes to me on the other side of my life, to make sure that I'm nurturing both parts.
And cultivating a beautiful, deep trust that when you're following your intuition, that's the path that feels really good. And that's the path that's
Yeah.
taking you to your success.
Yeah.
I guess one last question I'd love you, because in this process, it's like we become self-aware. We get our big vision, our why, and then we can start unblocking all those bits and pieces that are stopping us, that are keeping us procrastinating and indecision, and maybe hitting a financial glass ceiling as well. We haven't even tipped into that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would love for you to do, just for the last bit of this, is just explain to me or have a think about if you could give yourself full permission to build your business the Cass way and have it provide for you what you want it to provide for you. What would that look like on a day-to-day basis?
Pretty close in some ways. It's just that I haven't built the one-to-many side of what I do. But, I have a certain amount of client interfacing time and working with clients, and then I have time to build and work on building my business, and then I also have time for me to do the things that I want to do. But what's happening is when I have time for me to do the things that I want to do, I don't switch off. I don't allow myself to fully immerse in that side of it. So I'm still one step in, like kind of maybe physically doing the thing or to have the time off, or I might not be sitting in front of my laptop working, but my head isn't invested completely. That I'm creating something that's having impact, that I get to work and I work with my clients and help them along, that I get to build the business, but that it's not all consuming. I think that would be the answer. No parts are all consuming.
And could you reconcile with the fact that it might be all consuming for a period of time? Or is that not?
I think that's where the battles come in, because I don't want it to be all consuming, because it's time at the end of the day, isn't it? And that's probably where the conflict comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. And it
That you
doesn't.
do have to sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah. And the word sacrifice and all that is so emotive when you're building a freedom business. What I would love you to tap into, and you can write this or do this exercise after, is the Cass in 2.5 years that's achieved more than what your goals have set and more than what you wanted. How would she be showing up every single day? Would she be switching off in those moments to have moments on her own? Or would she be madly hustling in her business? Like, how would she be showing up every day? And that's how we tap into the be, the be do have. We be who we need to be in order to have what we want.
Yeah.
And if there's one tool that I'll give you in those indecisions, whether it's getting the coffee or walking or riding or booking Italy or whatever it is for you, right? Ask, what would that Cass, having already achieved everything that I'm setting out to achieve, what would she be doing right now? What decision would she make?
She would definitely go to Italy if there was a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Because,
Yeah.
so much more of that to unpack eventually. Because when you've got all those goals, it's like, how hard are you working, right? When you've got all these things. So tapping into the feeling will get you out of the head and back into your body. And it will start creating that safety that you can actually have this and not be burnt out and not be overwhelmed. You can have what you want.
I think that might be, that final piece of the puzzle where I probably struggle against is like, because when you have a 9-to-5 job, you have clear boundaries about expectations about how much you should do, but you don't get given them as a founder, because you're the one that's choosing how and where to build and what that looks like and how fast to go. So then I think maybe it is natural to look outside of yourself to try and go, well, what is normal? What should I be doing? And is having this much time off lazy, or is it okay? So I think that probably might even be where some of that battle is for me, of going, well, what is the right amount?
And what is lazy? If we're attributing
Mm,
freedom to being lazy, then that's where we need to start doing some work as well. What does that
yeah,
word mean to you? Not we're going to go
yeah,
into that deeply now, but yeah, so much we could do, like bang, 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 bang. But I think that's a really beautiful tool for you, is tap into the energy of already having what you're calling in,
yeah.
and let that be the thing that actually guides you every day to be stepping up and making the decisions.
Love that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Absolutely loved this chat. I wish we could do another hour, but I know you're flying out tonight. Love it. Over, is it Byron Bay?
To the Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
And I wasn't expecting to have all these tears, but it's a very different insight into the battle that goes on behind the scenes, right? To the things that you're thinking and feeling. And I hope, if anything, my vulnerabilities help someone else go, I feel that too. I'm not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, thank you so much for showing up. It is very brave. And, I've been in your world for quite a few years now, seeing, and you're incredible. And it's also, like I always say, though, we can have the strategy come out of every orifice and every blueprint and every right way to do it and every lead magnet and every push, push, push. But the nervous system is really feeling safe and trusting that we can have what we're wanting. There's always going to be that battle. And that's where you've looked
Yeah,
today. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming on and
welcome.
like being so vulnerable with everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank
Pleasure, Cass. Bye.